I would say that there's like 2 nice days a year in Iowa as far as weather goes, but I think this year someone heard me say that and they decided to make me a liar. But today is one of those amazing fall days coming up, so I'm going to be outside trying to soak in the rest of the sun that we have. As you've probably noticed, it's already getting darker quite a bit earlier in the evening. So I'm going to be outside today enjoying this and a few different things going on that I will take you along for the ride. So I've been doing some different things back here. Actually used the Swardman once on this and I did not film it because despite what you might think about how fluid the videos look when you're mowing, it's kind of a pain in the butt to move the camera around if you really want to enjoy the mow. So for that first time, I did not film it. I cut it at 1.25. Everything looked pretty good. You can kind of see the remnants of the stripes here that they're almost gone now. Yesterday I took the Time Master over this and I set the Time Master at 1.75. It didn't cut off very much, just here and there where the ground is a little bit uneven, but for the most part it didn't really do a whole lot other than use some of that suction from the mower to lift things up. Definitely I like to put a rotary over these if possible every once in a while to get that grass pulled back up. But today I'm back to using the manual reel, just switching it up, like using that thing, so I felt like it today. As I said in videos past not that long ago, the more we mow this thing, the better it is getting day by day. So I'm going to keep it probably around this height. I don't know exactly where I'm going to go with this. The ground back here is pretty bumpy, so that mow with the Swardman was really not extremely enjoyable on a bumpy yard. Something on my other video about reel mowing versus rotary that there were a few comments on, that you can't mow a yard that's bumpy with a reel mower, it just won't work. Well, it does work. I actually mowed even 3/4 of an inch on my front yard last year before I did any of the leveling work, and it was bumpy, it bounced around a lot, it was not extremely enjoyable, but you can find a height there and still get fairly low without doing major leveling, and with both rollers, one on the front, one on the back, you can make it happen and it won't scalp. You might find a few spots that get slightly lower than the other ones. It doesn't all look completely uniform, but once you mow in different directions with those rollers, the grass starts to lay down in different directions and it does work. Anyway, I like using that manual reel. I like how everything stands up with it, so we're getting a very clean cut. Finally getting into fall temperatures, it appears, and then we'll see how this thing responds. Also, some of you asked me about the shirt right here. I've not talked about my merch too much. I probably should mention it more than I do, but I'm redesigning this shirt just slightly. This was a test version, and I will now have it available, so check out a link in the description. Some of you are interested in this shirt. I like it myself as well. So let's talk about the renovation area over on this side and what's been going on with that. Well, I guess because I'm here every day looking at this, I haven't noticed how far it has come in the last week or so, even how much has been growing in. And so I was looking at some pictures the other day of maybe 2 weeks ago, and I was like, whoa, this is a major difference here. So this is starting to look like an actual yard now, moving along quite nicely, and I'm still on my program of spraying the liquid on it. This was my second dose yesterday, I think, and still looking good. For some reason, this spot right here, I don't really know why, it just did not take very well. There are a few plants in here and they are going to spread, so I'm not going to intervene at this point and really do anything differently with these couple spots. I'm going to let them go until next spring, see how things turn out after the winter season, and even if I have to take a couple of plugs from somewhere and put them in here and let them fill in, that would be an option. But overall, I'll change the camera angle so you can see this shaded area. This is the most shade It's only been getting a few hours a day of sun. There are some patchy spots here, but overall for the lack of sunlight that it's getting, I think it's going to be totally fine. It seems to be adjusting to that. It's still spreading, still growing in this area as well, so that's kind of the update on that. As far as the cultivars go, I'm just not seeing a major difference in anything yet, other than everything seems to be growing pretty uniform at this point. The Midnight, although it was slow to come in at the beginning, has caught up to everything else pretty well and is now growing in just about the same. That's the only thing I've noticed as far as the cultivars go. The Midnight has a pretty nice color to it. You can see it's starting to change into a darker green. These are starting to change into a darker green as well. There's still some lime stuff in there. Of course, bluegrass doesn't all germinate at exactly the same time, so some pieces are behind others yet, but overall, it's going to look really good here by the end of fall, I think, even, and going into next season. So I gave in to some peer pressure the other day, and I decided to try to cut this yard right here, which, check that out. Sissy ryegrass. Looks so good. I tried to cut this thing over here, this little section, at 1/4 of an inch. Now, ryegrass can do that, despite what Connor wants to tell you, and it could stay that low actually, but what I found was that my ground is still not even enough to do that. And over here was the absolute worst section as far as leveling goes. I knew that even though I just did some leveling work, that it wasn't going to be the final thing. There's still some humps and bumps and stuff in there. So I wanted to try it over the worst section to see whether I could accomplish it or not, and then I would just let it recover. So we did scalp a few things. It does look a little bit brown in a few areas. So you'll see here an area that's somewhat scalped. And what happens with that is that we've cut down into the crown of the plant. Also, because I was going so low in one cut, it kind of shredded the grass. It will come back out of there. It will start growing shoots back out. Just have to let it do its thing for a little while. What I do want to do today is cut the rest of this at 1/2 inch and see how it responds. We've got time yet into the season that I can let it recover if it doesn't look all that good. But I think this section up here is going to be fine at 1/2 inch. I know it will look thinner, but I'd like to try it anyway and just see what it looks like. Holy cow, that is absolutely stunning. So I was slightly under, around 0.4-ish for the height here. Makes it look so nice and flat and awesome. That is really incredible. So this has not been cut like this before, so you will notice some of the grass blades are longer just from getting rolled over, and that's okay. If I keep it going at this height, it will start to branch itself more at this height lower. So we'll see what happens here, but wow. Most wanted to get it looking more like fairway height if possible, and 0.75 is fine, but this looks incredible. If you thought I was crazy before, Now I'm gonna take a broom to this, because as you go over this multiple times, especially when you have growth regulator on like I do right now, the grass just doesn't have the exact same bounce back that it normally does. So I've mowed this a couple times in the same pattern before today. So what I want to try to do is just broom it up, see if we can get some of the grass blades to stand back up, and then I'll probably cut it one more time in the opposite direction. I'm really interested to see how this is going to go going forward into the fall season, so stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for watching this video. We'll see you next time.